Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am back to do some more work on my field notes journal as part of Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, and I want to do a second piece for the current prompt we've got of Spring Blossom or Spring Bloom. I remembered I had this beautiful fabric as part of a whole panel, and I've got multiples of each of them, which features the apple blossom. So another beautiful blossom. All the blossom trees are just starting to come out. My peach at home has already come out, and that's what was the inspiration for my other piece. But yeah, definitely in the neighborhood, driving around, a lot of the fruit trees are starting to spring into life. So I remembered I had this and thought, yeah, I definitely want to use this. And then I also have been doing a lot of sorting out, putting away my de-stash goodies, but also doing a bit of a craft room studio reorganize, and came across this lovely mat. It's a vintage linen. It's got a design printed on it. I did just search on it to see if I could find any heritage on it, but nothing was coming up quickly. It's 10 by 13, and I think it's number NG. I think it's a G, not a 682. If anyone can shed any light, but I thought they were the perfect little blooms that kind of match really well with the 5 petals, and even the leaves are kind of a similar shape. So then I was thinking, okay, how do I use the mat and the fabric panel? This is quite a flimsy fabric. I don't think it's a pure cotton, so I've actually backed it with a bit of a cotton woven interfacing. And what I'm thinking I'm going to do is to collage and applique, raw edge applique these flowers onto this piece. So I'll probably take some sections of it and then rearrange them to look the way I want them to look. The other issue I have got is that obviously this mat is bigger than the size that I'm using for my field notes, and so I was just pondering, how am I going to use the mat? It's too big that way. I think I want it this way. It doesn't entirely go up, but I can put a backing fabric behind it. But then I've still got the problem that I don't want to cut this mat. I want to keep this mat in its entirety. I want to stitch into it and have it as a full mat. So I came up with the idea of creating a bit of a flip. So in my actual field notes journal, it will go onto the page a bit like this, and then I was thinking I can even possibly put a little button in this middle flower here and have a little latch that comes across so it stays closed, but then you can open it up, and I'll end up collaging the flowers right across this area in here. And then I'm thinking I'll put something that's got a bit of bulk onto the front. And I was just having a ponder then. I actually just stopped the camera, ran out of the room, because I thought, oh yes, I will go and get my hessian. Now I'm not going to fully unflail this because it will put hessian fibres around my craft room and you don't need me sneezing and coughing. But I have used this one previously, and I've actually done cross stitch into it. So I thought I could put that on the flippy bit of the piece and maybe even do an apple, or cross stitch in apple blossom if I've got enough room for that, or I might even cross stitch an apple in, and then I might put this apple blossom, stitch that onto here. So that's a thought for that. So I'm just going to put my hessian on the floor. I've got my bag for my hessian. That's the other good thing about sorting things out. You get to know exactly where your things are, so you can just run and grab them. And then I had this fabric from the Reverse Art Truck, where I can get lots of fabulous fabric samples, save them from going to landfill. And I was thinking I could even use this as a backing behind the piece. I love that it's got these sort of embossed flower designs on it. So if I had that as my piece, it won't be exactly right, but let's just trial it for a moment. And so that might be a lovely contrast if I've then got the hessian, which is quite a heavy fabric. It might be just fun to have this sort of lined, and we won't see much of the, I guess, the flowers. I mean, the other option is I could use this fabric for the flip if I decide that the hessian's a bit too heavy. Let me just have a look how this would look if we use this to back onto the piece. Obviously probably use an edge that's not so ratty. So that would definitely work as well, if it was both the lining but also used for the flip. So that's another possibility, which is actually quite nice, quite light and bright, which might be better than the Hessian, but we shall see. We'll keep that option open. We don't have to decide that yet. And then that way it won't show, because I was thinking otherwise I'd have to do the stitching really neat if I was just going to keep this as it is. And I'm not always that good at keeping my stitching neat on both sides. So I think I will use something to back this onto. And also because I'm going to be doing the appliquing of my beautiful flowers, yeah, I will need something to cover the stitching that will come through to this side. The other thing I did and the reason I've put this this backing interfacing on it is I just wanted to check if it made it sort of quite able to withstand being cut. So I'll just take a little section to show you. I just wanted to kind of see that it would help it to not fray, because if I'm going to cut out the pieces quite delicately, then I want to know that I'm not going to be dealing with fraying edges. And so yeah, it's pretty sturdy. I'll be able to then attach my little cutout flowers on. I'll probably use a bit of Yoo-hoo glue to first of all attach them down, and then I can do some little radiating stitches over the edges to hold them in place. So that's the plan for that. So yeah, I think I'll do the appliquing once I've got the mat stitched. I should have grabbed, actually I've got a frame over here. I was just thinking I should have grabbed an embroidery hoop, because I thought I will do some stitcherooing with you. Does it matter where we start? No, probably doesn't. Let's see, let's start with this little collection of flowers. So I was thinking I'll start with I'll do pinks for the flowers. I've got 2 rolls of variegated. One's an Anchor and one's another brand, but they look almost identical. Anchor, or, yeah, I think Anchor, not DMC. This hoop is a Nerge. I think I actually got that at the Fleur Woods Art Retreat. I was thinking I'd got that somewhere else. I think that was from there. I've got my green tea in a beautiful Japanese mug, and isn't this tray just a delight? Perfect for the last prompt when we were stitching birds and their nests. Okay, and I've already threaded up, so you don't have to watch me threading. Let me just, my camera seems to still want to, or maybe it's me twisting around, I'm not sure. Just checking I am on screen. I might even bring you down a smidgen so I can see as well what you can see. The sun is out brightly, which is lovely. So, haven't decided what stitches I'm going to do. I could either do, I think I might try stitching around the 2 lines just with maybe just a split stitch, I think, because that gives me a nice even stitch, and then I can always come over and do another stitch that joins those 2 sort of lines together. Just got a crewel needle. I think I got these at an op shop somewhere, but they're still perfectly good needles. We'll be off soon to Alpine Victoria for a little end of winter holiday. Alex will be doing some skiing, and Travis and I will be doing bushwalks, and hopefully a few little visits to op shops as well. We always find such wonderful things up there. Now I'm just going to re-straighten. Yeah, I want to find a camera arm that is mostly metal, not plasticky bits. Not a lover of the plasticky bits that degrade over time and start falling off. is. It's definitely on its last legs, the poor old camera stand. So with split stitch I'm just popping up about halfway through the previous stitch. It's actually quite relaxing when you're stitching on another design. You don't have to think too much about it. Just trying to pincer the so this is a variegated thread, so it will sort of change colour as I go, which I thought could be nice too. The little sort of turning points I just come up sort of next to rather than through the middle. And an embroidery hoop's probably quite good for this sort of thing, just to hold the fabric nice and sturdy so you don't get sort of puckering of the fabric. You could also back it with something, but this is a decent weight linen, so I think it should be fine. Good quality vintage goodies. Oops. So I'll have to have a think about what colours I use on that interior section. I'll use greens for the leaves, and I've also got to work out whether I do some stitching into the centres as well as probably just little French knots for the dots. But whether I want to do some little line elements or otherwise, but I'll probably do the outline first and then I can come back and add to once I see it in its finished state. I love the idea that, yeah, people for many years before were stitching into these probably on a Sunday afternoon as well. They didn't have Netflix or YouTube to entertain them, so they would probably be reading and stitching and talking amongst themselves. And here I am, stitching, talking amongst myself and yourselves, and then after it, posting it on YouTube. So a bit the same and a bit different. But no, I do love these vintage linens for the connection they bring to the past. To what some might say was a simpler way of being, perhaps. Oops, I just undid my stitch. Sometimes if you want to avoid undoing your stitch, you're actually best to go forward a stitch and then come back, and then you can actually go back through the same hole without undoing it, whereas, and then I can do my split stitch from there. And I guess with this sort of a design where it's printed on, like, it doesn't erase, because I've actually washed these. I had read somewhere that someone had said, I think actually in a comment, that some of these designs will erase if you wash them, but luckily this one didn't. But you want to use a thick enough thread that it will cover the line. So this sort of crochet thread, which I think I said was an anchor pearl cotton. Again, I think I got it secondhand, so I don't know if it's a current colour combo. But then I have another one in my collection, which I think I might have got. Oh no, so that's an anchor as well, but a much newer packaging, but they look pretty similar. Most of my crochets are second hand. It's a lovely, lovely weight to stitch with. So hopefully you're working on a project yourself as well. Let me know what you're stitching or making or contemplating in the comments. Sending a cheerio out to my mate Kim. Hope this week is a better week for you. Sending cheerio to my friend Martha. Thank you so much for your recommendation for a camera stand. She's got Martha's got a great floor standing one, but I'm thinking I need one that can be a bit mobile because I don't always film here. I do like to take my stand with me if I go on holidays, or sometimes I like to film out in the garden if I'm doing some playing with my Inktense blocks or colouring up fabric, or do want to do some eco dyeing as well. So yeah, I think I need a portable option, but one that's sturdy and not going to degrade over time. I mean, I have had a pretty good innings from this. I've used it actually probably most days, or at least every second day. And it's been on quite a few holidays with us. It's probably coming up to 2 years old, but I don't want to be buying another camera stand every 2 years. I like things to last a bit longer than that, I think. We had a lovely walk today in the Dandenong ranges. I'm going to do that same thing of going forward a stitch and then coming back, because I just undid that stitch, so I'll go forward. So we were heading to Alfred Nicholas Gardens, but Alex was navigating and he took us a very long way, and we ended up passing by another gardens that we quite like because it's got a dog leash-free area. So I said, let's go in here. And we went there, and that was really lovely. We found another path actually that we hadn't been on that took us sort of sweeping around the reserve. So I did take a little bit of video, so I'll see if I can cut that in at the end of this. And I think I've got some video from last weekend as well, when we went again up into the Dandenong Ranges to Cloud Hill, which is a digger's garden, and we had a lovely afternoon tea there, and a beautiful bird landed right on the deck. So I've got a bit of footage of the bird, which would have gone well with our bird and nest prompt that was for the last 2 weeks. Funny, I can smell that hessian. It's got quite a distinct smell, the hessian sack. Again, I got that from the reverse art truck. It's just amazing what you can get there. Oops, I've just caught myself on the hoop. Okay, and we are around. And so you can see the subtle colour variation. And so, yeah, I guess we'll go around the second time. And it will be nice actually, because then it will have the darker next to the lighter. So I think the variegation is going to work quite well. Going to tighten up my fabric. Someone also, thank you so much, gave me a great suggestion of putting some paper towel just to hold, yeah, sometimes to hold things tighter. I think that was mainly with my box frame, but it's a good little suggestion. a look what the colour the little sort of stamens in the apple blossom are. In the fabric design, it looks like they're sort of pinky, a darker pink, probably with little yellow stamens. So maybe I'll even do some little stamens radiating out from the centre too. Beautiful sunny blue sky day. I actually had to put my little portable ironing board, which just folds down flat. I've got that blocking the sun from hitting right onto me, but I think the sun's about to go down behind the house next door, so I can probably move that soon and enjoy the light. But it was quite warm. This room's lovely, which is my daytime office and my evening and weekend studio as well. I have my office bit in one corner, and then the rest is my studio. But it's nice because when I'm sitting at my craft desk, the computer, my office is sort of right behind me, so it's not like I'm looking at work stuff while I'm crafting. It's nice to have that separation. And likewise, when I'm working, I'm not looking at craft stuff because that's, it's a corner desk. I think it's actually a desk that Alex's grandpa made for him. But it's just the perfect size. Doesn't take up too much space, leaves plenty of room for my crafting, but fits my extra screen and my laptop on it. And I try and go paperless. The odd time I might need to scrawl something down on a bit of paper, but mainly work in an agile way and use a little planner electronic board. It's funny, before COVID times, in the office, you just end up printing things out, but you just don't need them. So it's so much better. And for a while, during COVID times, didn't have a printer at home. And even though we have a printer now, I only use that really for creative things, like printing on fabrics. Really been enjoying, using Canva to design up my own fabrics, and thanks to those that said, you'd like to see a little demo of that, so I will do a future video on that. Maybe I was just thinking, because I want to do a little giveaway to thank you all for the 6,000 subscriptions. So I might even do a little giveaway where I'll design up a fabric, print it, and then send it off to someone. But I've also got a lot of other goodies that I want to share the secondhand bounty. So I might do a few little giveaways. So stay tuned. I'll only ever share those in the videos themselves, just to avoid the scammy folks out there. And besides, I want people that are my regular viewers to be the ones to benefit. It's always interesting with the variegated thread, just sort of seeing when it's going to change colour. I quite like making my own variegated threads with Inktense blocks, because then I can get quite frequent colour changes. Travis and I also went for a walk at Wilson Botanic Gardens before Alex was doing the trimming the hedges. So I took Travis out. So lovely there. So funny though, Travis loves seeing bunnies, but yeah, there were some bunnies right in front of us and he just, yeah, didn't even see them, didn't smell them. Probably smelled them after the fact, but he was busy having other smells. But there are a lot of bunnies there. That piece of fluff, it almost looks like a little caterpillar, but it's a piece of black fluff. You're probably thinking, my goodness, how long does it take her to stitch a flower? I mean, it's a bit hard when you are peering past the camera stand, but just taking it leisurely, it's slow stitching. Next up we can do the centre, and then I think we can do a leaf. I've got my crochet threads in my drawers right next to me, so we'll be able to select out a green and a yellow for the centres. Again, I've got all those sorted out so they're all nicely within reach and arranged. I've decided I probably don't need to buy any more second-hand crochet, unless I see one in a really unique colour, I guess. Or the plain ones, which I can use for dyeing and making my own skeins of variegated thread. Even the back is actually quite neat, but not that we're going to be seeing the back. I really should probably stop putting knots on the back of my work, but I just like that sense of knowing that it's all secure. Okay. Can you hear the bird call outside? Can you hear the car going round past? Someone sounds like they think it's a race course around here. Now, the problem is I feel like I'm trying to go through the knot, which I don't want to go through the knot. I just want to... Actually, I might come back. I'll just come back from this bit and it might be easier. There we go. So that's pretty nice, I think. Let's give it a bit more of a tighten up as well. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So I might just take it through one of the other stitches. Just put a little knot in. And then, so in the design it's got like slightly darker pinky tips for the stamens. So I've got some darker pinks in here. That would look good. Got this variegated one, but it goes to a lighter. one might be, or I think I've also got some ready colours as well. Or do I go for a sort of a maroony, or do I go for that sort of colour? Or do I want to make a, I think that could be a nice contrast, and they do almost look a bit more, a bit darker. Just going to have a quick look at what apple blossoms actually look like in nature, up close. Apple blossom. Oh, if anything, they're probably, their centers are a little bit more yellow, little tips on there, I think. So actually we won't go pinks, we will go yellowy oranges, which are these ones, I think, which is actually good then, because I can do some little stamens and then do some little tips. Either that one, or maybe this one that's just a little bit more yellow. Yeah, I think we'll go with that one. So, and I might just, because the light's now getting just a little bit darker, I will move the ironing board. And thread this up. Grab another, I'll keep the other needle threaded because I can use that as I work my way around. Oops. Okay, let's see if I can thread. If not, I might need to grab another. Trying the trick of turning the needle over and seeing if that, I might just trim the end, give myself another go. No, I think maybe that one is just a smidge too. Just grab my bigger eyed needle. Oops. There we go. Do a notch. And then I guess I go round and do some little French knots. Pop through from the back. I think just a single twist should be fine. Hold the thread while I pull it through so I get a nice firm little notch. And then I can probably do, could actually be doing pistol stitches, couldn't I? But that's okay. I'll just then bring my needle back from the center and bring it back to where the knot is. Now it is actually getting a little bit light and darker again, so I might even put my little lights on. They're not turning on because they were marginally unplugged. So come in from the center. I didn't hold that one tight, so that one didn't go as tight as it should, but it's okay. when you see all these yeah, hand embroidered doilies like at op shops and things and selling for like $1 or something, it's, you can see how much work went into stitching them. So it's nice to kind of honour that work, not just using them in our pieces, but sometimes creating our own as well. I'm wondering where they might end up in people's future work. Although this one will be attached into my field notes, but who knows where that will end up one day. Just hold on to your thread as you pull through, just if you want to get a really nice tight finish. I missed one of my little knots over there. I was thinking, why does it look a bit uneven? But that's because I missed one. And then I think I might do a few little knots in the centre as well, just so they're like the stamens that are standing, sort of standing more upright. No real rules, even though you're following a sort of a printed design, you can add your own embellishments. And again, because this thread is variegated, I'll get slightly different colours on the different flowers as I go. We can do the leaf next up. I was wondering maybe about doing, maybe I will grab my pink again and do some little lines. I know I said I'd sort of do the whole piece and then come back and think about that, but I kind of want to do that now, so we will. We're allowed to change our mind, aren't we? Oops. There was a little staple or something, but it's just a bit of goldy shimmer that's come off something. Okay, so maybe I'll do a line sort of radiating out from the centre to sort of the middle of the petal out here. Maybe if I do all those first of all, and then I'll come back and put some others in. And as I say, we can always, if we don't like it, we can always remove it. But I kind of think, like when I'm looking at doilies, I like the ones that have quite a bit sort of stitched into them. Yeah, I do like that, I think. You can't tell when you just do one stitch. You do need to kind of get that massing to go, yep, how does it look? Yeah, I think that's nice. So now I'll come round and do one in from here. And it just helps if you've kind of got those guide stitches in already, then it just helps you as you then come and space your other ones out. I think that's pretty fine, although I could still, maybe I will. Will I continue around and just do one more between each of these? Because I suppose in nature they are kind of curving, and so the lines sort of give the sense of the creasing that the petals naturally have. Originally, when I was pondering ideas last night for this piece, I was thinking, oh, well, I cut out of fabric, maybe Liberty fabric or something, each of the little interiors of the flowers, and then applique that on. But I thought, no, I want to stay true to what the linen was actually intended for, which was embroidering into it. And it is lovely, lovely linen. I wonder what originally the centre, whether the centre would have just been left blank because maybe it would have something sitting on it, or whether you would have then embroidered a picture in the centre as well. But that's where I'll do my appliquing. Yeah, I like that. And again, I like the variegation. I think that's looking really, really sweet, if I do say so myself. Which we can think our projects look sweet, can't we? Okay. Now I'll just move this over so I can get a bit of better leverage on the leaf. I think this is one that you're meant to tighten up with a screwdriver, but I haven't got one of those handy. Let's grab down my drawer of greens. Again, do I want to go with variegation? I do have another 2 sets of I think probably the darker green maybe. So I probably should put this other one away, because otherwise I'll get confused. And whether I end up using the fully light colours, but maybe. Use my bigger needle just because it is easier for the crochet thread. It's a bit bigger to hold as well, which is good also. Start with the darker colour, I think. So again, I think I'll follow the design and maybe I'll just do the outer and then have a think about whether I want to do the lines of the leaf coming in from the inner part of the design, if that makes sense. I'll show you what I mean. Are you someone that learns by being shown, or by being explained, or by doing? I think I'm definitely a learn by doing, and I'm pretty visual. And usually I'm kind of eager to give something a go, so I think the whole sort of learning by doing works for me as well. I like to know how things work. So it's going to be so good to be on holidays in 2 weeks' time. Alex is very excited. He's given me the countdown a few times today already. So I will have to start packing up my little crafting supplies to take with me. So it's one of the nice things about holidays. You get more of that time to create, and you have the inspiration of different nature around you as well. So I think we'll have this prompt will take us through until I think the Wednesday before we go. So I'll have the next prompt so I'll have to quickly rustle up my ideas, although usually I find the ideas come pretty quickly. If I'm going to continue with designing up a page, I'll have to get that sort of printed before we go. And then I think we'll receive then, won't we? We'll receive then a further prompt while I'm on holidays. But then I'll be returning that weekend, so even if I don't have the supplies for that, I can ponder. Although sometimes it's fun when I'm up there, like with the previous Roxy project, I foraged all the goodies I needed for my huswif, my roll, my sort of needle and other supply holder roll, which now happily hangs up right in front of my craft desk, so it's a great place to keep things in handy reach. That's where I keep all my needles in their packets. It's where I keep my felting tools, where I keep my sort of felting pads for when I want to blend fibres. They're actually just dog brushes, but they're apparently very good for doing the fibre works. So I think I will come back and I will go around the interior of the leaf again, I think, unless maybe I'll do the centre while I've got this darker thread. It's a nice thing about variegated, you can kind of think, what order do I want to do that, what colours do I want to maximise. I think I can hear Travis galloping around because it is soon his dinner time. That is why I heard him galloping on the stairs. He'd obviously come up to the craft room door thinking maybe Mum will hear me, but no, that's okay. Alex can be on feeding duty tonight. Travis always has a very good dinner of lots of vegetables. So I might do a stitch up here while we're still in the dark, and then I might just trouble my way. I shall come down this side, it's easy to go around this direction. I can hear Alex chopping veggies. We get a farm box from the local Gippsland region each week. Has vegetables for us and vegetables for Travis. And then he either gets some human grade mincemeat or some human grade chicken or human tuna or sardines or salmon. The only dog food he has is the dog food that he had when he was a guide dog pup, which we use as his sort of training treats. But that also just gives him any nutrients that he might not be getting from his fresh food diet. Although I often joke to Alex that he eats even better than us. So I would think that he would get most of his nutrients from. He has Wheat Bix for breakfast because that's what the vet said that they give to their dogs. And he also has an egg. So Wheat Bix and milk, and then a bit later on he gets an egg with vegetables for his breakfast, which we don't even get eggs every day for breakfast. Generally only the weekend for us. But usually Alex makes the egg for Travis while I take him for his first walk of the day do that before I've even had my coffee, so that's dedication, isn't it, to Trav? He's a funny boy though, because they say that dogs aren't really meant to be into citrus fruit, but Travis's favourite fruit is mandarin. He's not a slobbery dog, but if we're eating mandarin, my goodness, he becomes a slobbery dog. Saw something flying around. I don't know if it was a bird sort of reflection coming through the window or if there's a little bug in here. Saw my first fly yesterday, my first fly before we're even into spring or summer. The Australian fly. Okay, and then I think I'll do some nice little radiating stitches. I'll start from the bottom, I think, and come up to where this little point is there, just so I've got a kind of bearing to work from. And then I can kind of follow that line. You can kind of lay your fabric to see where, not your fabric, your thread, to sort of lay it down to see where you want your line to go. So if you sort of lay it, you can see, although I think I want that to actually come from a bit lower, so I'm just going to go back into the fabric and then just pop back out. So yes, this is going to be a labour of love, isn't it? Because one flower, I'm not sure how many flowers I've got, but as I say, I'm sure I'll go faster. But it's just a nice little thing. Even yeah, during the day, if I just need a bit of a mental break, I can pick it up and do a bit of a flower. And we do have 2 weeks for this prompt anyway. And my other piece is pretty progressed. It's all put together. Just need to do some stitching into it. Apologies for my still got that little tickle in the throat. Okay, so I am pretty happy. That's the first little leaf and flower. Yeah, I do like the variegation. I think it's just going to add interest to the border. So I will continue my way around, and probably the next time I come back for this piece we can start to do the appliquing onto the centre. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you like my little plans for it, and hopefully it might give you some ideas if you want to do some little flippy things for your projects. Thanks everyone, take care, bye. You talking, Travis? Hey, Trav. Gorgeous view down there over the mountains. It's Travis and Alex. The wattle is in full bloom. Oh, and did you see the bunny rabbit in the distance? Lucky Travis didn't see it. He'd probably go dashing off after it. There's Travis. What's you doing, Travis? You smelling the wattle too? It'll make us sneeze, won't it?